If you think about literature, storytelling, and poetry, probably your mind will imagine great masterpieces, the inspiration behind the creative act, and the eccentric life of the artist. Indeed, all these elements live in a close relationship, but it's time also to expand the point of view on the art of writing, to discover together the nature of the places where writing is considered fundamentally a craft that can and should be learned, a craft which, when practiced with enjoyment, is fun. When practiced with skill and talent, it becomes art.
We are talking about creative writing schools. More than 35 schools, universities and academies of this kind exist in Europe. They are held together by the European Association EACWP and intimately connected by the purpose of making the storytellers of tomorrow. Some of them are based on structuralist philosophy or experimental methods, while others focus on performance art and transmedia storytelling. As we will find out later, European sense of belonging is very strong here. Would you like to discover something about these schools? Let's start from Italy, precisely from Turin. In Turin, you can find Scuola Holden. The name is a tribute to the novel The Catcher in the Rye. The idea was to create a school where not even Holden Caulfield, main character of the novel and the symbol of all the wrestlers of the world, would be bored or expelled. The Scuola Holden teaching philosophy considers writing as a craft deeply connected to the contemporary world, as a fundamental tool to navigate this century. Scuola Holden's Academy has chosen 7 essential disciplines to guide its students in the professional world of storytelling. A few examples of these 7 essential disciplines. Thinking design expose the architecture of choices and train the skill of establishing priorities. Intensity helps the students to find their literary voice. Sequences is about mapping a mutation across time. The red thread is the pedagogical principle called grammar of the human being. It stands for the skill to become able to recognize the psychology of people. Also, the multiple patterns of the reality we are surrounded by. In the end, you should be able to imagine stories where the characters talk in a realistic way and their sensitivity is tangible. A different model is given by the French writing school Aleph Écriture. It's based in Paris, Lyon, Bordeaux, and many other French cities. The name is a tribute to Borges' short stories book El Aleph. Aleph focuses on pure literary writing techniques. They provide courses on short stories, poetry and novel, but also pedagogical courses addressed to writing teachers. An exercise that Aleph students experiment with comes from the book Pensée classée by the French writer Georges Perec. The goal of the exercise is training the skill of recognizing what kind of book you're reading. Also to improve the ability of classifying, cataloging and ordering the elements of a story. An important literary genre taught at Aleph is autobiography. The French writing school receives many autobiographical fragments from their apprentices and teach them to create reality-based books well mixed with fictional structures. The third European model comes from the far north. We are going to talk about the Finnish way of Jyväskylä University. The Master of Arts of this school is special because it focuses on the writing process from the initial idea to the finished work. In general, the studies focus on the relationship between creative writing and literature, communities and society. Specific areas include experimental writing, well-being, and literary therapy. An exercise for students to practice with are the antonymic translations. Practically speaking, this means that students do not translate between languages, but rather we write the poem using the antonym for each word. The point is to illuminate how literature can be produced creatively by using a found text. Also, how that constrained writing may require quite an amount of creativity. Regarding the future, as in general the whole world is doing, the creative people are also trying to figure out if artificial intelligence will become an interference or an added value. Then one of the next research projects of EACEA University will be about it. The last creative writing school that we will take in exam comes from Madrid and is called Escuela de Escritores. At the foundation of the school, there is the belief that a writer needs to create and needs to correct. He needs freedom to create and technique and knowledge to correct. An exercise that students experiment with is a Gestalt one. 2 chairs are placed in the center of a circle where students have to develop a dialogue with one of the characters they have created. By making a series of questions that to the character, that the author must answer as if would be the character himself, students find out new shades, new emotions, new complexities and truths in their characters, which to that point were mostly unexpected. During our tour around Europe, we went through a bunch of writing schools, from Italy, France, Finland and Spain, finding out that when moving from a country to another, the methodologies change. That's also because it is the perspective on it that changes. Literature and storytelling are hopelessly subjective, and so it is for the way of teaching them. But what holds these schools together? They all dream seriously about a shared European literature. In order to make it real, they invented EACEA, a literary project supported by the European Union. Here, young writers and translators are connected across the countries. The ultimate goal is valorizing the talent, representing the linguistic minorities and giving a future to the literary artists. Eventually, the connection between all these differences is a European sense of belonging that runs through the books of today's writers and tomorrow's storytellers. If you are an aspiring writer, you could be curious to search for the other 30 schools we didn't mention, but that are part of the European Association of Creating Writing Programs. From the Scandinavian area down to the Iberian Peninsula, and from the Alpine countries down to the Balkans, it's very likely you will find a school near to your hometown.